for the Green Party in 2010 on a platform of implementing fair taxation policies and establishing a state bank for California. So we're thrilled that Laura has consented to come here and talk to us. She is also running this year for state comptroller. Laura...
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Laura is, I believe, a native of Michigan, is that right? Where she studied foreign languages and worked for 20 years in information technology and finance. So she knows these things from the other side, but has spent as much of her life in volunteer and community work, working for the Pesticide Action Network, for the Women's Economic Agenda Project, for the SEIU United Healthcare Workers, and she's participated in delegations to Latin America to study innovations in participatory democracy. And she is locally, nationally, the co-founder of the No Corporate Money campaign, in which candidates pledge to take no corporate money, and citizens pledge to vote for the candidates who pledge to take no corporate money. So we're absolutely thrilled to have Laura come and talk to us about public banking in general and its implications for the post office. And I'll let you just get on with it. Thank you.
Well, I'm thrilled to see so many people here. When I started out waiting for the bus, I mean, I was so glad I had this huge umbrella because it was pouring. And so thank goodness for whatever this is called, a porch or a portico or whatever it is, you know, that we have some shelter. So, and I also wanted to say that Susan, where are you, Susan Harmon? There's Susan, right there. So we have somebody who's here and who will back me up, and I am seriously inviting you to shout out anytime there's something that I say that you think needs to be, that you know needs to be expanded on, and we'll have a chance for question and answers. And I've asked Kristen to pass around a sign-in sheet, and if you would please sign that. It's conceivable that you may be on it already. If you are, you'll know, but it will, one of the things that I actually sign it even if you're on my list, because what I will do is send you an email with a whole bunch of references that you can check out yourself that will be, you know, that will have a lot more specificity if you'd like to look at that. So please do sign that with your email. And as I say on the thing, write it as if a 5-year-old is going to read it, because I think we've all been in the mode of not being able to read email addresses. So we'll do it that way. And I want to say that two quick things about how I got into politics and how I got into the state bank, how I learned about the state bank. And one is that I got into politics in 1992. I became active, and a friend of mine had said, "Is this sound okay? Is it too loud? Am I too close or anything?" It's okay. A friend of mine had said, "Laura, I had a dream you were in politics," and I said, "I hate politics." And he said, "Well, have you tried the Green Party? It's a brand new party on the ballot just now. Go to a meeting and check it out." And so I went to a meeting in 1992, and Greg Jan, would you please raise your hand? Got a hold of me and did one of his famous all you need to do speeches. And so I became a representative of the city that I lived in at the time, which was the city of Alameda. I ended up starting the Green Party of Alameda, and we had two goals. One was to convert the Navy base into civilian use, and the other was to get the first African American ever elected to the city council. And within a year or two, both of those happened, so we were marvelously successful. We took all the credit. Then I another one of those all you need to do speeches started coming up, and I ran for comptroller actually in 2002. I'm hoping that the record that my campaign set that time gets broken. And the record is that I got in 2002, running for comptroller, the most votes ever that a Green Party candidate got in a partisan statewide race. It was 400,000 votes, 6% of the vote, and it took 10 days to figure out who the winner was in the comptroller race. We need to break that record, because we need to get whatever it is, 50 plus 1 or the plurality or whatever it is. And by we, I mean we people who don't take corporate money, who get in and don't take corporate money. The system funded by corporate money is corrupt by definition. So, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Now, State Bank, what happened is that I ran for governor, and I've been so mad about Prop 13 and the damage that it has done. I think I moved to California in 1979. Prop 13 was passed in 1978. And the state, I mean, anybody who has analyzed the state, written articles about it, written books about it, everybody who knows that although there are some good parts about Prop 13, and we can keep those, we can make those good parts even better, everybody knows that it has had a horrible effect on California, and yet the very governor who was governor when it came in has done nothing about it, not lifted a baby finger to do anything about it. And I was so mad about that. But then another friend of mine, what would we do without our friends, said, stop talking about taxes. Nobody likes to hear about taxes. Don't, do that, which I refused to follow that advice. But he said, you should find out about the state bank. Ellen Brown has written The Web of Debt, and she has written a lot about a state bank. We need a state bank for California. And so I looked into it, and it made a whole lot of sense. And I had a campaign manager for a while who said, don't say that, it's too esoteric, don't talk about that. But I would have leaflets, and on one side I would talk about the state bank. And you know how sometimes at a rally people are trying to get by you without, getting your flyer. And sometimes I'm trying to do that, But I'd say, State Bank, invest in California, not Wall Street. And they'd be going like that, and they'd go like this. And they would pick it up, because it is a solution. And now, here we are. So basically what I want to talk about, and I've asked Kristen to kindly tell me when my time is up, because I need that. I'm going to talk about public and private, and people and power. And this whole thing about taking the public sphere and privatizing it has one goal in mind, and that is to concentrate power and wealth. And when wealth is concentrated, automatically power is concentrated, because they cannot buy enough jets and islands to use up the money. They've actually got to buy power, so they buy media and they buy politicians. And one of the most unfortunate things about our political system is that politicians run so cheap, and they're all bought out. And so they're not all bought out. Actually, Richmond, we're going to talk about Richmond a little bit. But so the post office, here it is, this marvelous entity that has been around since the Constitution was created. And it's something that even in small little, actually unincorporated places, there are post offices. They're everywhere across the country. And then there are big, beautiful ones like this that had the New Deal artwork, murals and things like that. And by the way, while we're talking about New Deal, I want to say FDR is given the credit for the New Deal, but I think where the credit should go, and so they wanted Obama to come and be the new FDR. Earth to everybody, what happened, the New Deal was a product of highly organized communists, socialists, and unions. Yeah, that is who did the New Deal. He didn't do it by himself. He did it with tremendous pressure. Thank goodness he took that pressure and said, to the fat cats, do this or else your whole game will be ruined. And enough of them decided to go with it so that their whole game wasn't ruined and people's lives were better. And we had art, and we had, libraries were built and things like that, bridges, amazing things were built. So the post offices are everywhere. And what they can do, does anybody happen to know what the lowest price in a FedEx or UPS package is? $14 or so. Who knows what it is? It's not 49 cents, and it's certainly not whatever 27-cent postcard. But they're grabbing the money up, and not allowing the post office even to advertise. And requiring that 75-year in advance prepay on the pensions, which would sink any organization. So so what the post office can do is that there are a lot of people that don't have banks, and what is it called? It's called Direct Express. Direct Express. Do I have the name right? That it is actually used already, starting in the mid-90s, when the Congress was working on making sure that that people could have their Social Security checks and their other, that they could have their Social Security checks directly deposited in their bank accounts so that they wouldn't get stolen, the checks, and there wasn't all that danger. And at the same time, they did actually talk about people who don't have bank accounts and what would they do with that. And so they set something up so that people could, through the post office, have a debit. Let me see. Was it? Yeah, they had a debit card, and so that it would be deposited into their debit card, and they could get money orders at a low rate and things like that. And they put it out for a bid for a bank to partner with them, and Comerica did that. If we had a state bank, if we had an actual public central bank, the way most countries in this planet have publicly owned central banks, not a Federal Reserve that, as they say, is as federal as Federal Express. It's not public. So they do that, and they have this debit card, and they can go to the post office and get their money orders and things like that. So expand that. Just expand that. Does that sound familiar? It's like, we have Medicare, expand that. We have this system, expand that. And I have a list here of some other countries that do postal banks. And one of them is like New Zealand. They have the Kiwi Bank, isn't that cute? And by 2001, Australia had like 80% of the business. So it was the out-of-country banks had all the business and were grabbing up all the money. And so they decided to have their own bank, and and now it has like, it went from